In this video, we are going to be making some delicious pumpkin spice cinnamon rolls. So to get started, I placed half a cup of unsalted butter and 1 cup of milk into a saucepan and let it melt over medium heat. Then when it's all melted, I added it to my mixing bowl with some sugar and a packet of yeast. And I just allowed the yeast to activate. Once it activated, I added some baking powder, some salt, some pumpkin puree, and flour. And I allowed it all to mix until it became well incorporated. Make sure to scrape down the sides, that way everything gets mixed in together. If the dough is a little too wet, you can add a little bit more flour. Once the dough has the correct consistency, I greased up a separate bowl and placed the dough inside with some saran wrap to cover and just let it sit for about an hour or two so that the dough could rise. Next, I started working on the filling. So I added some butter, brown sugar. You could use pumpkin spice if you have, but I just added some cinnamon, nutmeg, a little bit of cardamom, and some ginger spice. And I mixed that all up until it became kind of like a pasty texture. So after the dough was able to sit and rise for a few hours, now it's time to knead it and flatten it out. So I used this rolling pin and tried to, stretch it out as much as possible. And I created kind of like a large rectangle-like shape. So here I am adding the filling, and I tried to spread it out as evenly as possible. Then I just rolled the dough onto itself. So once I had that done, I cut it into equal parts. Some people use the whole dental floss method, but a knife works perfectly fine. So then I greased a pan and added my cinnamon rolls. You don't want to cram it in to the pan because you are gonna let it sit for another hour and it's gonna expand even more. So after you let it sit for another hour, you place it into the oven. And while it's in the oven, I'm gonna be working on the icing. So I have about 4 ounces of Philadelphia cheese, some pumpkin spice, some pumpkin puree, and some powdered sugar. So I mix that up, and then I add a tiny amount of some milk, and I just mix it up until it has like a really nice like icing type of texture. So the cinnamon rolls were done cooking, and it kind of had a lot of, moisture. So I tried to clean that up a little bit. So I added the icing on top. And I let it bake in the oven for about 10 more minutes after this. And this is what it looks like. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you tried out this recipe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.